Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. So, two things. One, the Little School of Big Change begins in 2 weeks. Is that even true? I know I did this last week too. I can't believe it's coming up so soon. It starts February 6th, and today's January 23rd, and I think that's in 2 weeks. So it's very soon. So please check out the school if you've been looking at it, been thinking about it. It's the perfect time to do it. It's such an amazing 6-week program. You get to know so many people from all over, learn from them. The community is incredible. And there's lots of opportunity for afterward. We have a graduate community for graduates of the school to really be in this conversation in a way that's maybe even bigger and deeper than you have so far. So check that out at thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. Second, although maybe I shouldn't draw attention to it, I'm very lopsided right now. I just had a dental procedure and I'm very numb. So if I look a little less symmetrical than I typically do, you are correct. And you don't have to worry about me. I'm totally fine, but I might just look weird. Okay, so now everyone can probably notice. I probably should have not mentioned it, but anyway. Okay, so I have a question today from Andrea. Andrea says, lately I've been feeling a lot more at peace and connected. I have a deeper sense of connection to life and just being. Things seem different. I've been having thoughts about the miracles of life that are all around us, that we see as normal everyday things, flowers growing, babies, the weather, animals. I haven't really noticed these things before, but they make my mind seem a lot less serious and problematic. I have heard of a lot of different spiritualists talk about the power of mind, spirituality, manifestation, etc. And I was wondering what you thought about these things. The reason I ask is because my whole life I have unintentionally created a life of suffering through my thinking. I've noticed that my mother and her mother both did the same. Both diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Both will tell you how awful their lives have been, which I see now as their thinking. However, I know they do not see that. I was wondering if I have the power to create such an unhappy experience, do I have the power to create something wonderful? My family has always been poor. This has seemed to pass its way down generations, and now as a young adult, I find myself exactly the same. I have a deep, deep longing to break this cycle. If life is lived through me, I guess I wonder why some people have money, nice homes, cars, and we never have any of those things. I'm wondering if my thoughts have played a part in this, or whether that's just how it is. I feel a little hopeless around the idea of this being just being life, as then I will never have good opportunities or be able to raise a family or have a home. However, I feel that if there is a way I could do better, think better, it gives me a sense of hope, but I'm worried that I'm breaking the cycle, that breaking the cycle is just a fantasy, really. Okay, so Andrea, I love this topic, I love this question, and I love what you're seeing. You know, you are seeing this for yourself. I know you've had a lot of anxiety yourself and depression, and you're really starting to see through a lot of this. And I love how you say, you know, if I've unintentionally created this with my own thinking, and you see how your family has. And I think that's absolutely right. And that doesn't mean they haven't fully experienced anxiety and depression. Of course they have. And it doesn't mean it's their fault at all. It's just that when there's this lens of life is hard and I'm depressed and I'm anxious and life is hard and this is how it goes for us and all of that stuff you mentioned that's been passed down, it gets to be really hard to see around that. It is a train of thought. And then that train of thought finds evidence in reality. And to flip it the other way, in that train of thought, we don't take action the same way we would if that wasn't there. So that's where I think this really gets powerful, is when you see, oh, if my mother and her mother didn't have all these thoughts that look true, they had them maybe, but they just saw them as thought, or they weren't as caught up in that, what might they have done differently? What might have looked like an option for them? What might look like a possibility for them or a good idea? And same for you, Andrea. What job might you apply for? What schooling might you get? What other things might you do? How might you be different with money? All of that, without this thinking that says, nope, people like us are poor and this is just how it is. So 100% yes, I think, just like you said, unintentionally, and it's always unintentionally, thought creates everything. Thought creates the reality that we live in. And the reality we live in has a lot to say around what we do in life. And so it all gets kind of confirmed, our beliefs and our hunches and our conditioning all tend to just get confirmed through life. So if that's happened on the negative side for you, and you can see that, absolutely, it can happen on the other side. Now, here's what I would say though. I want you to get in this way of kind of recognizing that there is no way things are. There is no way that your life is going to go because of the family you were born into. And that's true for all of us. There is no future. There just is no like people like us. And I know that feels very true and heavy. And we can look back at the past and see the evidence of that in the past. But what I want you to start to get a feel for is how life is constantly refreshing. There is no sitting still. There's no sitting still in life. There is no this is how it is, and all that solidity and sitting still. That's what a mind does. A mind wants to put a stamp on everything and say people like us have this life. That's just thought. Life before thought, beneath thought, is constantly refreshing, constantly moving. Always new, always fresh, doesn't know or care about conditioning, doesn't know or care how your mother's life or your grandmother's life was. It's just new, showing up fresh all the time, right now. Do this. Get in this kind of sense of things, because this is where everything is brand new, created all the time. And all that thinking about how it's gone or how it will go or how it should go, that can't touch this. That gets to be seen as thinking when you kind of know, oh yeah, life is fresh and new all the time. There is no future. There is no me poor. There is no me with these limitations. All of that is thought. Then you naturally get more tapped into how life is just always showing up fresh with no meaning, with no future baked into it. So that is where there is just incredible, incredible power. So when you say, Andrea, I was wondering if I had the power to create an unhappy experience, do I have the power to create something wonderful? Yes and no. And I don't know, honestly. I don't know how it works in this way, but there's something in that I just want to mention, because I see a lot of people, a lot of minds take this and hear it in a way that isn't helpful. And it's that I had the power to create peace. So I created all my anxiety and depression. And of course, now a mind is going to take the next step and say, therefore, that was my fault. And if I have the power to create a wonderful life, it's all on me. Therefore, it's all on me. And therefore, it will be my fault if it doesn't happen. I want you to take the I and the doing part and just set it aside for a minute. You don't have to throw it away, but just set it aside and just see, again, it's not so much about you intentionally creating on either side. Some of that can be played with, and that's fine. It's more to see that life is constantly creating, like life's doing it. It's doing it. The only thing that's having us not feel that is this story that says, no, people like me are poor. My entire family has always been poor, and this is just my ceiling. This is just as good as it's going to get for me. That's what has life is still lifing and fresh and new all the time, but this blinds you to that. So this is where you don't go for the things. You don't try to get that job, or you don't take this action or that action, or, oh, what's the point? That's where we kind of squash down life. But life is still saying like, hey, anything's possible, fresh and new all the time. So I don't want you to put yourself so much in a position of, ooh, I created all that suffering I was in, and my family did before me, so now I'm going to create positive. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that. You can imagine yourself abundant and free, and that's beautiful and wonderful, and if that feels good, do it. I just want you to see that life's doing it already for you. And the only thing in the way has been a thought that says, nope, that doesn't happen for people like me. And that is a thought. That is not true. Just like on the other side, when you're feeling all that anxiety and depression, a thought that said, yep, this is my life, that's my diagnosis, this is how it goes, that's what made that really true and come to life. So I hope that makes sense. I see it a little bit less as a conscious, creative process that we set out to create the life we want. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the downside is a mind will then want to get really involved and take a lot of credit and blame. the other way, which is very similar, is seeing like it is already here. It's all already here, all of it. And all we're doing is just wanting to see the barriers and the obstacles and the limitations as thought, because that's all they are. There are no obstacles, no barriers, no limitations, really. Even when there is a physical barrier, like let's say you apply for a high-paying job and you don't get it. Okay, well, in that moment, sure, that's just what is. But it doesn't mean anything. It's just a physical thing. So we want to keep all the meaning and the concepts and the me and the conditioning, hold them so loosely, and watch life come up and give you everything that it's always giving all of us. So I hope that helps. Let me know what you hear in this. And thanks everyone for listening. I hope to see you in the Little School of Big Change in just a couple weeks. And I'll be back here Monday with a new Ask Amy. Bye everyone.